Stokes and I are here to keep working with you on our math. So we are going to keep working on volume, and what we're going to be working on today specifically is looking to find the volume of a rectangular prism using multiplication. So this is actually very similar to what Kiana had talked about as like the way that she likes to, no, excuse me, Danya talked about the way she likes to find the volume by multiplying all three sides, the length, the width, and the height. So that's exactly what we're going to do today, is we are going to start working on finding the volume of something by looking at the length, the width, and the height and multiplying them together. So let's look at this first one. The length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna say that's 5, right? That's this here, 5 across. The width going back and forth, this is 1, 2, right? And the up and down, how high it is also 2. Now I know some of you might be thinking, wait a second, you're counting this block 3 times. You counted it in the green, in the blue, and in the purple, pink color. I don't know what color that is. Yes, that's true, but remember that it's only one block, and 1 times anything is itself. So it actually doesn't impact what I'm doing, and in fact, if I didn't count it, then I would only start at this block. I'd say it was only 1 high, which is not true. It is, in fact, 2 high. So having said that, let's multiply these together. So the length and the width, 5 times 2, that's a 10. And then we got to multiply it with this, 2 times 10. Our total volume is going to be 20. Now it does not matter. It does not matter if you multiply the length and the width first or the width and the height first. I could have, or the length and the height, I could have done 2 times 2 is 4, and then multiplied 4 times 5, right? And 4 times 5 is also going to be 20. This looks like a 3, so let me just fix that. Right, 4 times 5 will also be 20. Doesn't matter which one you do first. But what I do want to point out is, if you watched the application video earlier, great. If you didn't, go ahead and watch it. But when we multiply 2 of these together, we're actually getting the surface area of something. So in other words, if we look here at A, if I multiply blue and pink together first, let's say, then what I'm actually looking at is I'm multiplying and finding the surface area of what I just shaded in purple here. So the entire surface, I found the entire surface of that. I found the length and the width of this. And so then when I multiply it by this, I'm getting the volume by doing area times, in this case, it would be area times length. But if you thought about turning the cube on its side, it would be area times height. That's the sides. That's totally an aside, but just something cool to think about, right? So the volume here is 20 centimeters cubed. That little 3 represents cubed because it is a 3D image, right? Let's look at this next one here. So the length, remember, is this part here. I see 1, 2, 3. The width is going back here. Again, I see 2. And the height is going up here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. And this time, just for funsies, I'm going to actually multiply, just to kind of show that you can do it anyway, I'm going to multiply the length and the height first. 3 times 4 is 12. And then if I multiply that with the width, which is 2, 12 times 2 is 24. And again, you'll notice that I have these little centimeter cubed because it is a cube, right? Let me just get rid of that really quickly. And it's 24, right? So we look at this next one, and again, the length is 1, 2, 3, 4. The width is 2, and the height is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 times 4 times 2, right? 4 for the height, 2 for the width, and 4 for the length. And I am going to let you decide what order you want to multiply those in. That's all you. You enjoy that. While you're doing that, I want to go down here to the bottom to number 2. And this one, by the way, that's practice for you. If you want to do it on your own, pause the video, go ahead and multiply it out to find the volume. So if you want to practice, I'll actually give the answer to this one at the end, but if you want to practice, this one is entirely here for you to practice, all right? I want to now move on to number 2, where it says write a multiplication sentence that you could use to calculate the volume for each rectangular prism in problem 1. Include the units in your sentences. So we're going to, just because it's kind of hard to type on a computer, we're going to include the units for the first ones, but I'm not going to include units for the other ones. It's not great practice, but it's very hard for me to type on here, and I don't want to waste time with that. So for the first one, remember that volume is, I'll say this all the time, length times width times height. Length times, by the way, shortcut for writing times is a little dot instead of an X. Length times width times height. So in this case, let's go to A. Five for length times 2 for width times 2 for height, and 5 times 2 times 2 equals, oh, and what I said I was going to do I did not do, so I actually will do it for the next one, but it's going to be 20 cm cubed. And what I should have done here also is written a little cm there, a little cm here, and a little cm here to show that it's centimeters that I'm working with. So let's look at the next one, right? B, right? B, we have, what's our length is 3. I'm looking at this one, by the way, right? So our length is 3 centimeters. I always want to check because sometimes they try to fool you and make it like feet after everything is centimeters. Times, what's next? 2 centimeters. Times, what's our last one? 4 centimeters. And what would our answer be from that? Well, it would be 3 times 2 is 6, times 4 is 24. That's what I got here as well, so I'm still on the right track. 24 centimeters. But remember, now I'm dealing with a cube, so I want to write a little 3 to represent cubed. Now, quick trick. Let's say, remember how before I talked about how you could solve using the area? So let's say I wanted to multiply this 4 and this 2 first. I could put parentheses around it to show that I'm multiplying that first. And if I do that, then I'll end up by, instead of multiplying length times width times height, what I could also do is I can multiply the surface area, or just for short, I'm going to say A times height. But when you're doing this, you need to make sure that your area is just your length times your width. So you don't actually need to worry about this now. You will worry about it later on. But if you think about it like this, then my length times my width for C, let's look at C, is 4 times 2. So I'm going to write it below here just for space. But 4 times 2 is 8, right? 4 times, let me do it this way. 4 times 2, that's the first bit, right? 4 times 2, that's length times width. 4 times 2, that's going to be 8. So here, it would then be 8, or area of length times width, times what's left over, which is height, and that would be 8 times 4 is 8, 16, 24, 32 will be 32 cm cubed. And that is how I would find that answer, right? And so I said I would go back to this one, and I did. So at the very end, I hope you got 32 centimeters cubed. So you do not need to worry about this right now if you don't want to. If you're feeling bold and you want to try it, absolutely go for it, but don't worry about it yet. We will talk about it later on in the week. All right, that's all for now, scholars. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I miss you. If you're confused, come to office hours 2 to 3, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. On Wednesday, I need to change the time a little bit this week. But aside from that, 2 to 3, all right? I will see you there. Bye, scholars.